Yo, welcome back to Son of a Preacher Man. Soapman is in the house. In my last episode, we talked about Nimrod and equated him to the Sumerian ruler Enmerkar. Now, Enmerkar ruled just after the flood of Noah in southern Mesopotamia. Enmerkar seems to match Nimrod in every way so far. Enmerkar is in the right timeline. He is a post-flood ruler of southern Mesopotamia. According to the Sumerians, Enmerkar rules and builds a city called Uruk. Well, the Bible in Genesis chapter 10, verse 14 states that, speaking of Nimrod, that the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Uruk. So Uruk is another form or pronunciation of the name Uruk. We can connect Nimrod from the Bible to Enmerkar in history. Both were apparently post-flood rulers, or meaning they ruled after the flood, and both are connected to this city, Uruk, or as the Bible calls it, Uruk. The Bible says that Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. And so if Nimrod is Enmerkar, that would make sense because Enmerkar was said to have been a powerful ruler in southern Mesopotamia. In the last episode, I also brought up the fact that by all accounts, Nimrod was black. The main piece of evidence being that he is a descendant of Cush leads many people to believe that he was black. So Nimrod is connected to the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is another biblical story that people indirectly connect Nimrod to. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 through 4, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto the heavens. Let us make a name, lest we be scattered upon the face of the earth." So people take this tower to have been constructed by Nimrod or under Nimrod's rule or command. I guess the theory is that Nimrod built this tower in defiance to God. I guess he built this tower as a way to thumb his nose at God for God almost destroying the earth with a great flood. Nimrod is always looked at as a villain. He's always looked at as being against God, and the reason he's looked at or colored bad is because of the Tower of Babel story. I said in the last episode, it was by this solitary passage that we was gonna find Nimrod. It says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech." This is gonna be the nail in the coffin for you. It says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech." So I told you to remember that. I'm telling you, remember that again. And even in Genesis, in the next passage, that was Genesis chapter 11, 1 through 4. But in Genesis 11, chapter 5 through 9, again, it repeats the same line. So the Bible is really emphasizing this to you. It says, "And the Lord came down to see this city and tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language." So the Bible tells you this, and then in the next passage, it reiterates. It says God comes down, and God confirms what the Bible already told you. Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language. So listen, we have this southern Mesopotamian ruler in Enmerkar. And he's seeming to be Nimrod. He's ruling post-flood. So he's in the right time period. He's in the right place, southern Mesopotamia. And even his name, Enmerkar, to the experts may mean Enmer the hunter. They think that Kar may mean hunter. This is the best prospect for Nimrod we've had. But I want to go back to this tower for a minute, because the Bible says that all the people were of one language, and then all of a sudden they weren't, because God came down and confused them. And so they left off from building this tower. It's an incomplete tower. This conundrum Nimrod or Enmerkar finds himself in is a huge problem for this great ruler. And the way he solves it will change history forever. And the way Nimrod solves this problem is with writing. Nimrod had this humongous problem in his lap, and the solution to the problem of everyone suddenly not being able to understand each other was to come up with a writing system that everyone could use. So can we link Enmerkar to an incomplete tower in or near Uruk, and can we link him or connect Enmerkar to writing, or to the inception of writing, or to the origins of writing, or to writing in some way, shape, or form? Remember, this tower, this incomplete Tower of Babel, is the evidence of the dilemma of this time period. So can we connect Enmerkar, who we think is Nimrod, can he somehow or in some way be connected to the origins of literature? Well, it turns out there is an ancient Mesopotamian tale, and it's called Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta. Now you'll notice the thumbnail says Nimrod and the Lord of Aratta, and that's obviously because I believe Nimrod to be Enmerkar, and so you can use the names interchangeably. This ancient Babylonian or Sumerian tale about Enmerkar contains the smoking gun that he is indeed the biblical Nimrod. Okay, so in order to drive home my point, I'm going to use a couple clips from a video by a Dr. Doug Petrovic, and he investigates this very topic beautifully. Okay, so let me just set the stage for you real quick. In this ancient Mesopotamian tale titled Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta, Enmerkar, a ruler in southern Mesopotamia, is in contact, he's in correspondence with this ruler, the Lord of Aratta. Enmerkar, or Nimrod, if you see my big arrow right now, it's going to get small. It's hovering over Uruk, where it says Sumer, and it's got the black dot here, and it says Uruk. So Enmerkar is down here by Uruk, and the Lord of Aratta is up here, way up to the northeast. I mean, not out of distance, you know what I mean? But a good ways, a nice ways off to the northeast. If you look at this ancient Mesopotamian tale, it has some major correlations with the Bible.
So this is from Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta, the mountain land of the nomads. The people taken care of gave praise to Enlil, that's the god, the Mesopotamian god Enlil. How? In one tongue.
So I hope you heard Dr. Doug Petrovic, and I'm going to play it for you again. But listen closely, because what he says, he's reading this ancient Babylonian or ancient Sumerian tale, Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta. And in this tale, it makes reference to a time period when people were of one tongue. And it's that type of verbiage parallels what the Bible says occurs during the building of the Tower of Babel.
How? In one tongue.
Remember, I told you to remember this. Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 through 4 says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech." Folks, we're getting hotter.
He changed the language in their mouths. You see this?
He changed the language in their mouths, it says. The tale of Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta parallels the Tower of Babel story in the Bible, in that they both speak of a time period where everyone was of one speech and suddenly the language was changed in their mouths. Folks, this is it. This is our smoking gun. You won't find evidence like this anywhere else. It's a match. The ancient Sumerian tale of Enmerkar and the Lord of Aratta is the same story as the biblical Tower of Babel story. Folks, the writing style that emerged from the city of Uruk in southern Mesopotamia, we today call cuneiform, and this is what it looks like. We've linked Enmerkar to the biblical Nimrod in every way imaginable. But just like you'll see in every image of Nimrod, this tower still looms in the distance. We've yet to connect Enmerkar to an incomplete tower. Well, folks, don't be dismayed, because there is such a tower in the time of Enmerkar's rule. The first thing to understand about the Tower of Babel is that it wasn't a tower at all. We've dug up the remains of plenty of what we today call ziggurats in southern Iraq. And this is what they look like. So this is what the Tower of Babel would have looked like. I know you want it to look like the tower in the images and slides that you see online, but there's a difference between what you want to be true and reality. And the fact is, the Tower of Babel that the Bible spoke of, this is what it would have looked. Now, if you look on a map, you'll see Uruk and Eridu. Uruk is where we believe Enmerkar ruled from. It is believed, I should say, that he built and established the city-state of Uruk. Now, not far from Uruk is an even more ancient city called Eridu. And if you've seen some of my previous episodes, Eridu is the place, the Sumerians called it Iana, but it is the place that I believe Adam settled after leaving the Garden of Eden. In Eridu, during the time that we believe Enmerkar ruled, around 4100 BCE to around 3700 BCE, during that time period, archaeologists found an incomplete ziggurat in Eridu. Here's why that's significant. If you go back to the time of Enmerkar, he's living in the city of Uruk. Sumerians started writing. So they start writing their history and current events and, financial transactions, how they governed, how they worshiped. They're writing now. And they wrote about the city of Eridu. And the way that ancient Sumerians looked at the even more ancient city of Eridu was they looked at it like a holy place. So understand, if you're Enmerkar, a ruler in the city of Uruk, Eridu is like Mecca. If you are gonna build something holy or sacred or significant, such as a tower, you would not build it in Uruk. You would build it in the holy city of Eridu. So when archaeologists found an incomplete ziggurat in Eridu that matched the time period of Enmerkar, well, of course they came to the conclusion that it could have been constructed by Enmerkar. This ziggurat that they found in Eridu was of a massive size for the time period that we're talking about. It would have been an extraordinarily ambitious endeavor What I'm trying to explain to you is, if you're a scientist and you're digging around in this time period, and you find towers or ziggurats all the time, and they're roughly around the same size. If you come across a tower or what someone started to find where someone started to build a tower, and it's 2, 3, 4 times the size of the towers that you normally dig up, well, that's going to stand out. It might not be a red flag, but that's going to make you raise an eyebrow. The tower found in this ancient city of Eridu was ginormous. Only the base of it had been built before it had suddenly been completely abandoned. And not only was the tower abandoned, the entire city was. The amazing thing to me is that you can read a story in the Bible and let your imagination run wild. You'll think to yourself, I'll go my entire lifetime and never know the truth of it. Only to turn around and find evidence so compelling and complete. Only to turn around and solve all the mystery of the topic in such a satisfying way. Folks, I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Son of a Preacher Man. If you enjoy this type of content, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you got any compliments, comments, or insults, please leave them in the comment section. If you got any topics you'd like me to discuss or questions you'd like me to answer, please leave it in the comment section. I'll see you next time. Same soap time, same soap channel. Soapman is out.